Hello everyone, this is Harshita again. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be talking about how to choose your co-founder. So if you're planning to start up and thinking of choosing a co-founder for yourself and the startup, so yeah, this video is for you. Okay, so I'll be talking about various points that you have to consider if you are looking out to get a co-founder on board. So the first point is that you and your co-founder should have complementary operational skills and approach of doing things. Okay, so what I mean by this is, say if you are a product person, okay, if you have a habit of going into details of things, trying to make a perfect product, right? So you should maybe try to get on board somebody who is good at sales, who is a conversationalist, right? Who can actually talk and sell your product, right? So these are complementary operational skill sets. Okay, so this is very important that you and your co-founder should have complementary skill sets and approach of doing things. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the entire purpose of getting a team, right? That you are complementary. Okay, so that being said, even though if the operational skill sets are different, it is still important that you and your co-founder should share similar work habits. Now, what I mean by that is, say you are a workaholic. Okay, you're okay working on the weekends, you just want to get the job done, right? So if you are a workaholic kind of person, and say if you get on board a co-founder who is like, I'll just work 9 to 5, I will not like slog through odd hours or weekends to get it done, so there might be a conflict, right? You may not want to work with such a person, and especially in the early days of startup, it is very common that you have to slog for longer hours just to get things moving fast, right? So that is very important. Yeah. Now the next point is that the co-founder should be ready to segregate the work among themselves, right? And yet they should trust each other, that the other co-founder will take the right decision in their respective domain. Now what I mean by this is, like, suppose, say if you look at product and technology, right? And say if your co-founder looks at sales marketing, right? So even if you guys even if you folks discuss like a lot about say product or sales or anything for that matter, right? But you have to trust your co-founder, and the co-founder should trust you, that the respective co-founder will take the right decision in their domain, right? So if you're looking at product, and even if you are discussing about product with your co-founder, right, and even if you disagree at some point, right, even then your co-founder should trust you to take the final decision on the product, right? And I mean, that kind of trust should be there between you and your co-founder, right? That even if you disagree on something, still you trust the other person to make the best judgment in their respective domain. So that is very important. That kind of trust is very important, right? Because you cannot do the entire work, right? You look at some parts, your co-founder will look at some parts. You guys have to have a strong trust that like you both will take the right decision in your respective domains. Now I'll go on to the third point. The third point is common vision for a larger goal. Now this is very important because you and your co-founder should agree on where the company will go after several years, right? You and your co-founder should have the same vision for the company, like where the company should reach after several years. Okay, so I mean, it should not happen that you envision the company to go in to reach a certain place, and your co-founder envisions the company to reach some other place like after few years down the line, right? So a common vision for a larger goal is very important, otherwise conflicts happen, right? Because everybody have stakes in the company, right? You and your co-founder both will have stakes in the company, and if you guys differ on the larger vision, then of course that will reflect in differences in actions and thoughts, right? And because you both have stakes in the company, there will be conflicts, like who is right, who is wrong. So it is very important to align like all the co-founders to a common larger vision. Okay, so this is so I'll just go on to the next point, which is that the co-founders should know each other well since several years. Now this is very important, and even better is if the co-founders share a work history together in the past, right? So I mean, see, you just cannot know a person in few weeks or months. That is just impossible, because people have like very layers to their personalities, right? And as marriage is to personal life, similar is the relationship between co-founders in professional life, right? So as you just cannot marry somebody like just not knowing them enough, right? So it is very important, similarly in the professional life, that you should know your co-founder really well, to be like to start a company together, right? You guys just cannot meet on Tinder and start a company. I mean, you have to know each other since a long time, and share a common work history together. That is even better, right? You both should be really compatible with each other. So that's important. And yeah, it is also important that you and your co-founder should like have a high degree of trust between each other, and also it should be easy for you to be honest with your co-founder and vice versa, right? Because see, like building a company is a long journey, right? And it's a very ambitious journey as well, right? So it's like uh, a big thing, right? So when you're trying to achieve a big goal, goof ups are bound to happen in the way, right? You just cannot escape failures, right? There will be some bad decisions taken, some bad repercussions of it, but you and your co-founder should be like so. I mean, you should be trusting each other a lot, and you guys should be still bound together that okay, no matter what comes, we'll solve this together. We are in this together, and we will solve this and take the company where we want to take it to, right? Together. It should not be like okay, say if I made a goof up, and if I tell to my co-founder will blame me, and then there will be a conflict. That kind of toxic relationship should not exist. I mean, it is very important, because failures are bound to happen, small and big, right? So it should be easy for you to be very honest with your co-founder, and it should be very easy for your co-founder to be honest with you, so that you can discuss things openly, and like still be bound together to go towards a common vision, right? So that is really important. And so the next point is okay, so like in the within the co-founders, right? Somebody will be the CEO, somebody will be the CPO, CTO, COO, whatever, like they're different titles, right? In the beginning, when the company is small, right? I mean, almost everybody does, so there's no segregated roles. I mean, you build segregations, okay, even when you're small, but still, like say if say there's some bandwidth crunch or something, it may happen that the CEO may help the CTO, or vice versa, right? That is very much possible, right? But as the company grows big, right, so there are like more segregated work responsibilities, more segregated departments and things like that, right? So typically, what happens is that the CEO generally gets more limelight, right? If anything goes wrong, they are like held responsible, like generally, okay. I mean, in the public, right? So everybody comes to the CEO, they blame the CEO, right? And on the other hand, if something goes good, the CEO, like there are, say for example, press releases, interviews and all, like the CEO gives, right? So I mean, CEO generally gets the more limelight in both good and bad, okay? So when the company is small, then there is no much like differences, okay? But when the company goes big, okay, so and the CEO starts getting like more limelight, the co-founders should be okay with that. I mean, it should not happen that later on there are internal conflicts that are happening, or the feelings of jealousy, or things like that, which are very normal human behaviors, right? I mean, but there should be an understanding that okay, I mean, it's fine if the CEO gets slightly more limelight. Ultimately, it's as long as the benefit of the company is happening, that is fine. I mean, always we have to put the company benefit in like as more important as compared to personal benefits, right? So that is really important. And yeah, so there should be an understanding between the co-founders that it's okay if the CEO gets slightly more limelight, there is like not much problem, and that should not arise in any internal conflicts later on. So that kind of comfort and trust is very important. Okay, so now going to my last point is that the co-founders should have complementary temperament. Okay, if one is an introvert, it would be good if the other co-founder is an extrovert. Okay, so I mean, it always helps, right? That's the entire purpose of coming together to build a team, right? So if one is not really comfortable in talking, the other person should be a conversationalist so that they can hold the conversations in front of customers, investors, or whoever, right? And say if a person is short tempered, then the other co-founder should be cool minded, right? So that when the first co-founder loses their calm, the other co-founder, they can just calm them down, right? So it is very important to have complementary temperaments, right? Because building a company is a long journey, right? It's like moving together towards a common goal, right? So in between there are a lot of hiccups that happen, there are a lot of mistakes that happen, a lot of things happen actually, right? So it is very important that the team, the co-founders, they are complementary to each other in terms of skills, in terms of temperament, attitude, and everything, right? So it really helps, so as to bind each other together in terms when, like, at the times when things go wrong, right? When the things turn south, it is very important to be together, right? If you and your co-founder are very similar, okay, so, and if say you are short tempered, your co-founder is short tempered, then it will be just anger all around right? So it is very important to have complementary temperament. That being said, it is very important also to be similar, like the co-founder should be similar in terms of, say, work ethics, in terms of like larger values, right? So it is important. So like choosing a co-founder is a balance between what should be complementary or different between both of you, and what should be similar, right? So it's a very interesting balance that pans out. But yeah, like always a good bet is like if you have a shared work history with your co-founder, and if you know them since years or at least months, if not years, that is always beneficial, right? So cool, that was it that I had to say about choosing a co-founder. And yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comments below. I'll try to cover them up in my further subsequent videos. Thank you so much. Bye bye.